I am Delia Codes, and this is my Node capstone stream. You get to see the majority of my process, warts and all. For me, creating my first project in Node with Express. Um, yeah, and that's kind of it. So we're kind of deep into it. We essentially I've been kind of like trying to well, two things. So we've been going through our first user story, and I'm going through my first user story and trying to create the server, the models, the routes, and the endpoints that I need. I'm hoping that I've done this right, um, and so it's just kind of a question of what this looks like. Now that I'm just trying to code it up from the ground up. I'm also trying to write tests so that I know what my code is doing. Um, and that's about it in terms of kind of a little bit more about me and this project. We worked on, um, last time we worked on our endpoint and a test for our endpoint. So, and forgive me, I've got a little bit of a sniffly thing going on now. So we had our first endpoint test, and that's kind of like what we ended up doing. I'm not sure if the test is. I'm actually pretty certain that the test isn't the way it should be. Um, I'm a little uncertain as to the code too, which is why I want to test it. Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at. So, what we get to do today is I get to do some reading on the tests, and we will see if we can modify our test to be what it should be. And I'm hoping that we can make and I'm hoping to review some of the endpoint material and kind of make sure that I know what the endpoint looks like too. Um, yeah, so I think that's it. So let me share my screen and we can get started. Okay, welcome. So this is our test. Looking at it from yesterday, two things. One is I'm not sure if this is the right form of post. Also, this response doesn't necessarily seem to go well. Um, so what I'm going to say is const request. Actually, no. I'm going to say const post is equal to this. And then we're going to say, and I don't know if we need to define response at all. I guess that's the other thing. Yeah, I feel like I don't really understand, okay, so let's kind of walk through the logic of this. So what we want to do is we want to, so set up data that you expect, call function. I mean, I think that that's like the kind of, this is more of like integration test territory, I feel like, wherein it's a question of like, we expect the status to be 200 because it's going to send the status. So we're going to say expect post dot status to be 200. And we're going to say that. Okay. I mean, that seems reasonable. Let's clean this up because I think this is more of a pure function. And let's save it. Let's also unskip it. And then we will do an npm test and see what happens. Okay, I'm still getting a response is not defined. So I don't know. I wonder if does it need a response object? You know, that may be the biggest question. Okay. So either we're not calling the post.status correctly or something. Which is not a bad thing, honestly. I also kind of am suspicious of the... So router.post, okay, great. But are we calling the right thing? Because I'm a little worried that we're not calling the thing that we need to call. Which I hope makes sense. I'm worried that we're not... how do we put this? I'm worried that this is not being invoked in our test. Like router.post for that. I think. I mean, it looks pretty simple. Well, so let's think about how to test whether or not this is actually getting invoked. So let's console log. And then we're going to say runs, and then we're going to say rec.body. And then we're going to put that, so ESLint is happy. And let's try to run the test again. And I also don't know why I have to run Control-C every time. That kind of drives me a little nuts. Okay, I do not see a console log. So this is not getting run by the test. Okay. That is interesting. Okay, so let's go over this. Routes equals require blah, blah, blah. And then I don't know. I mean, the only other thing I could think of is like maybe this isn't doing what it should be doing. You know, that sort of thing. Maybe this isn't exporting correctly. I don't know. It's actually kind of interesting. Like, I'm not... Okay. So, instead of you just watching me read, I have some coding. So they do, so in here, they have in their models an object, and actually let's do this. And I think you've seen me like kind of look at this before. They've got this like object of functions. And then from there, what they do is they in this server, they create by passing things into this model. And if we remember and look at the Express tutorial. So, okay. I think my code is wrong to do this. I don't actually think it needs to be doing this. So let's pull this out. Let's comment it out. Because I don't think that actually should be doing anything. I think what it should be doing I think technically this is my first endpoint. I guess I'm confused between endpoint and app versus router. So let's look at the thing. And maybe I need to look. Okay. Okay, so let's look at what this is. Okay, so a router object is an isolated instance of middleware and routes. Okay, so in other words, okay, the idea is that router.use and then recres and next. Okay, so router.get, router.post, router.put. Okay, so let's look at our code again real quick. So this essentially does the same thing. So router.post, we've got a meal. Okay. So, I mean, it should be fine. So why don't we do meals? Okay. I think it's a question of what our code is doing. I don't know if I need this. So what I'm going to say here is, do I need this? And this is not invoking the thing that I wanted to invoke. Okay. Okay. So that's a bunch of like complicated stuff that, well, super useful is not necessarily things that I absolutely need. Okay, so let's do here. Let's go, actually, let's do here. Let's go testing routes, express, jest. Let's see what we come up with. Okay, so it sounds like I need to test with supertest. We have another thing that uses supertest, don't we? I think we do. Okay. This is cranky about my line breaks, so let's change them. Because somebody has to. Okay. So essentially we're writing something similar to app. Okay, so let's find out. Do I need app and an app and router file? App and router file, or one or just one of them? Because they look pretty similar. I mean, app.use, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. And this may be like one of those structural things, right? Okay, let's do supertest. Oh, Lord. Let's copy this. Let's save this. Request is never used, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's go with... Great! Yeah. So we could do it any of these two ways. Okay, and this is what I was trying to get at before. It was just kind of like, uh, uh, okay. So let's see here. And honestly, I feel like I think I should probably consolidate them. But maybe I shouldn't, I don't need app. Okay, okay, so let's describe meal tests. It adds a meal. Okay, and let's do the time-honored tradition of copying our code. Well, not quite copying, but like, you know what I mean. Let's do test, and then adds a meal post. Router post. And then let's see here. And then let's return request okay, and then let's, for here, instead of router, let's do this. And then let's delete this. Nah, too much deletion. Okay. Apparently I'm supposed to put an empty line after that. Okay. So let's go to app test. And then we're going to say router dot post and we're going to say meals, and then we're going to put a promise. Oh, no. And then we're going to put this expected there. Okay. So let's do another fat arrow here. Okay. And then let's do response. And then expect response dot status code to be 200. Okay. What don't you like about this? Okay. Well, ESLint can go to hell right now. Okay. So let's run our tests and see what we come up with. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So my theory is that we should be using app and not router. Either that or we should be using routes. I need to sneeze. Okay, and then require, and then doop doop src slash router.js. And then let's do routes. Const router equals express. I'm not sure if I need this. Dot router, and then we're going to do that. Great. Okay, let's find out. Whoa. Okay. Interesting. I'm not sure if I really understand what that one was. Nope. Did not help. Let's see here. I don't know. So just kind of fascinating. I wonder if it should use app. I mean, it could use app from what it sounds like. It's just router and routes is a better thing. Well, it's more flexible, I think, is the important thing. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, let's see if we can do a little bit more reading. We don't do a done. But we do the promise way, so we don't need it done. Okay. I don't know. I have a thing. Let me check my chat. Nothing in my chat. Okay. I don't know. I'm kind of like, maybe there's a better way to do this. Maybe there is, maybe. Okay. Okay. This actually looks really good. I'm gonna have to like read this and really kind of get to know it. But actually, this looks super useful, especially because it's like, um, so I really like the inversion of control here. Um, the thing, the thing I don't entirely understand is what is user.routes, user-route. Okay, so oh shit. Okay, I guess I guess the thing that I'm not understanding is completely the logic of it. Is like how it's completely hooked up. And while like it makes sense, I don't know if it makes enough sense. I definitely think that there's a conceptual leap here that I'm not entirely making. Like app could be useful. Like they pass in the path and then the router, and then they do route.get, which I don't know what this does. I really don't understand that. Um, as far as I understood, they were the same thing, but maybe they're not the same thing. I think I don't understand Express the way I need to, um, and I think that's kind of where I'm at. Okay, awesome. Well, it sounds like I've got some documentation reading, and like, well, I definitely would. Hold on, you switch to my video. Sounds like I've got some documentation in my future. I have my mentor meeting today, so hopefully we will make some progress too there. And I don't know. I really appreciate you watching, um, either now or in the future. Thank you so much, and I'm hoping that I will have a little bit more to show and my first route done. All right. Thank you so much.